It's not that deep. Everything love, lust, and life.
Sex. We talk about it so you can get better at it. We can all get better at it and maybe feel a bit happier in the process. It's not that deep. Or is it? Hey, welcome to this episode of Sex is Not That Deep. This is a sex short on daydreams and sexy dreams.
Yes.
So, I am quite into this one. I have a lot of sexy dreams and daydreams. But talking to Andy, he says that he doesn't really remember his dreams all that often, and he doesn't have them that often either. So that's why it's just me and you today. I have a lot of them. How about you?
Yeah, so I've always, actually it's been like the lead into my sex life has been through dreams. My first orgasm was in my sleep.
I think I've orgasmed in my sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not certain though.
It wakes me up, and it's happened.
You wake up confused though, don't you?
I wake up like, didn't I, what? Everything's just very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something very funny. I was trying to think of the guy. My first ever sex dream was to the guy who judged X Factor once, with curly hair, American, used to be on Baywatch. That guy. Old, really embarrassing, basically. But yeah, since then, it's quite a popular thing for me. I think
it's probably more of a woman thing, but not exclusively, because sex is sex in the mind, isn't it? This is what this is, really.
So men actually have like multiple orgasms during their sleep?
Well, yeah, so, and I mean, Andy is saying about waking up with those dreams, and that sort of reaction sort of thing is quite similar, but I think it's more common. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a better sleeper than him.
I remember everything now. I always remember my dreams really
well.
well.
I remember my dreams a lot. I have very vivid dreams.
And Henry Cavill basically have a secret relationship in my sleep.
So I've talked to you about this, my concept of treasure dreams, where so you wake up in a dream and it's usually for me a nightmare. It starts off a nightmare and then it's a very strong emotional dream and you wake up very fired up. And then that becomes a kind of scene setting for me to go back into that kind of feeling, into that kind of situation and turn it into a positive thing.
Yeah.
So I find usually it's a nightmare that they then turn into a sexy space sort of thing. There must be something Freudian about that sort of pleasure-pain kind of feel with it being a traumatic thing that becomes a sexual thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some sort of psychiatry behind this. But where you have a dream that's a fully formed dream, and then I then create the next scene as a sexy scene in my mind, and I use that to sort of drop into sleep. And I think it's like an ADHD thing for me. I think maybe I use it to calm my mind, and I create this sort of safe haven. Sometimes it's not even sexual, really. It's a relationship type thing, and it's a safe space, and I feel calm, and then I go to sleep. And loved, usually.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very sexy.
And we talked about sexy nightmares briefly as well, didn't we? Because that sounds really controversial, but I have those where I'm like terrified because I'm being sort of pinned in a horrible situation sexually in my dream. And I wake up and I'm really turned on and I'm really confused and feel really gross about the whole situation, even though it was all
I quite often have those sort of dreams where I'm being chased or there's some sort of sinister element, but then I'm with someone and then it becomes quite, we're running away from something, but then we bond by that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It becomes, I'm sure there's something emotionally there where that sort of process turns from a sort of fear into a sexual excitement. I'm sure that there's a link there. And I just wonder if someone else does this, if they create a sort of scene. And quite often what I do is I just sort of go back in and just go over that same sort of section just to drop into sleep.
See, I have this with, I'm a lucid dreamer. It sounds very similar to lucid dreaming, except I don't wake up when I do it.
It's the opposite though, because I'm awake and then I sort of create an awake dream in order to go into sleep.
And you were talking about as well sexy daydreams. So is this like something when you're bored or?
Yeah. And creating sort of scenes in your head.
Yeah. Is this prior to masturbating? Because that's probably when I would do it.
Yeah, and during, to be honest.
Yeah.
I create a scene that I want to.
I feel like this is very ADHD because I have ADHD as well. But when I am masturbating, I can't just have one sex scene going on in my head. I have to have like 3 or 4. Then I can just dip into each one, and I'm like, oh no, bottle that one, next one, and then we circle back.
But then I take dreams, like I was saying, that I take dreams and then take those scenes out of a dream and then create a fantasy out of that dream. Like I said, quite often a nightmare that I've then taken control of. I wonder if the control aspect of it is what makes it from scary to sexy.
Yeah.
And then that's what I use as a masturbation fantasy sometimes.
And maybe sex makes you feel in control.
Maybe. Or maybe it's that sort of feeling of being out of control that originally that I like.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
I don't know. I think there's a lot of psychology there.
I know we need a psychiatrist on here, don't we?
But I'd love to know if other people do this and take dreams and then take control of them and then just sort of put them in a treasure box, like that's like a treasure dream. That's a thing that they can sort of take out and dip into, and it's a pleasure thing because I always feel very happy and safe in these dreams that were horrible spaces.
See, I do that, but I don't store the scary ones. I store the good ones, like my Henry Cavill dreams.
Yeah, I sort of turn it around and store it.
Yes,
but sometimes good ones too.
I only store the good ones, because I don't know, I'm not as talented as you at reversing the scary dreams stay scary. But yeah, my Henry Cavill ones, I know I've mentioned him at least 3 times already, but we've had some really intimate nights together in my sleep. So if I'm ever really desperate and I'm like, oh, I need Henry Cavill back here, then do you know what it was? The first one that was really intimate was like we were in a relationship, like in a full-blown relationship, and it lasted the whole day. Like the rest of the day, I was walking around doing me shopping. Like, oh, I'm in a relationship with Henry Cavill.
But that's the thing, when you wake up with that feeling, it just sort of permeates your whole day, doesn't it?
Literally, it's lovely.
And so that's what sort of creates that sort of treasure moment for me, and I want to go back into that and feel that sort of...
Isn't that wild that what completely out of control is in our sleep has decided how we feel about the rest of the day?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But also, like, being able to drop back into that means that you can sort of calm the day. You know, when you feel, that's when I most want these sort of dreams, is these sort of lucid, they're not lucid dreams though, because you're in control, but my body is, when it's at its most anxious and nervous and wound up, that's when I really want to have this sort of little bubble to go into.
Yeah.
They're almost like, those little snow globes.
Yeah.
Like a snow globe sort of situation to just drop back into. And I find it really, really calms anxiety. And it's a real technique that I think people should be able to do. But I don't know if it's a thing or whether other people do it.
So have you got ones that you repeatedly go back into? Or is it generally more...
It's going to sound really batshit, but I had a dream about being a mermaid. It was a nightmare because everyone else wanted to kill me. And I ended up jumping off a cliff at the end of it. It was very scary when I woke up.
Dark.
Yeah, really dark moment. But anyway, so my treasure dream is that then that there's a lagoon that I sort of wash up in, sort of thing. And someone takes care of me and looks after me, and it's beautiful, and it's really solitary space, and it's a safe space, and it's the waves lapping, and it's a sort of rain in the trees because it's a rainforest type situation. And it's all those sort of nice warm vibes that you sort of get out of, it's like a tropical holiday sort of thing. But it's just come out at the end of this really stupid, horrible dream. And that's sort of one of my go-to-sleep spaces, is that I'm in this sort of lagoon and you can hear the waves and stuff. And I sometimes pair that with sleep music, with the waves and white noise and sometimes rainfall. Because in my dream there's a little hut, Do you
have like a sexy Neptune come on in and be like, hey?
It's always a real person. Like, you can, my daughter watches mermaid movies where, people change back to humans. So it's always a real person in it. I think that's the thing. It's not so mental. Like, so there's actually a guy there. But then there's sex in a hammock, which for me in my dream works, I'm pretty certain that's going to be an absolute nightmare in real life. So it sort of goes completely against my rational sense.
Yeah.
But I like the feeling, you know, the warmth of the sun, the waves. There's
You
someone
can
looking
connect
after
to
you.
everything sensory wise. Yeah.
But yeah, it comes out of this completely batshit dream.
I love it. Fran wants to hear about if anybody else has this experience of treasure dreams.
I want to know if it's a thing or if it's just me being weird.
I know. I think you might be onto something.
And can we harness it for like anxious people and people who, you know, when you need that calming in your head to sort of stop stuff going around your head.
Yeah.
I found it really helps me go to sleep. But is it something that other people have like used and does it work?
Well, thanks for listening to today's Sex Short, and we hope to see you again soon on Sex. It's not that deep.
Sex. It's not that deep.